Welcome to a demonstration of the Furmark system. I'm Jan-Erik Carlson, and together with the IFF team in London and Chainpoint, I've been developing the Furmark certification system. By developing a new way of creating certified and traceable fur products, we have introduced an important business tool, a new way for the fur trade to act in a sustainable and responsible way in order to build added confidence and assurance with the consumers. The Furmark system records the various transactions from the source of the pelts to the final fur products, always moving within the framework of certified companies. It's a quite simple process, but it makes it possible to create certified and fully traceable fur garments that carry the Furmark label. Let us begin the demo. I hope you will enjoy it.
We are now ready to log on to the Furmark system. And of course, once you are onboarded Furmark, you get a user account for the Furmark system itself. So we will make the login on this demo account. And we arrive at the dashboard where we can see different informations about ongoing business. We can see some information about the stock of skins. We can also see some information about some transactions that have been made in the past. A few basic information is kept here. Of course, company details, the name and the address of the company, the location on a map, and so forth. But also quite important business information such as customer numbers from Copenhagen Fur and Saga Fur in this case. And this means that it's possible to retrieve auction information about lots being purchased that can be retrieved automatically by the system. We also find a feature on business relationships, basically setting up the business environment for the company inside Furmark, showing the different suppliers and the customers at retail level. And of course, everybody in here are companies that are Furmark certified, which means the output will be a Furmark certified product with a full traceability. And of course, at the end, we also have the possibility of adding a number of persons who are able to work inside Furmark for this specific company. But let us go back to the dashboard and talk a little bit about what you need to do before you start a new transaction in the system. A key component in Furmark is the labels. And the labels can be ordered from a company called Nilon, and there is actually a direct route to the ordering system at Nilon. The reason this is done is that we have made sure that everybody inside Furmark also has a user account at Nilon, so it's super easy to get your orders. And here's just an example of an ongoing order. You can choose your labels. In this case, it's garment labels, it's accessory labels, it's the flag label, and not to be forgotten, the hang tag, which is also very important to get as a part of the package. We can see the order quantities and so forth. Very straightforward to order the labels. They can come either from a stock in Germany or a stock in Hong Kong, depending on where your business is located. And we can be sure to make a quick delivery of the labels to your company. Once you get the labels, of course, you have to load them into your system, and there is a part of the system that will reflect the labels. In this case, you can see that the company, they have three kinds of labels in stock. There's the garment label, the trim label, and the accessory labels. And just to demonstrate, we can go into the garment labels, and we can actually see label by label when they were used, what kind of transactions they belong to. That's also important. But once the labels are loaded and are in the system, that basically means we are ready to go to start creating some transactions. The Furmark system is not a complicated system. It has one job, and it's basically to record the transactions and the movement of the skins. That means that every time there's a step in the supply chain, the system will record and document that. So I think the next step is basically to start talking about creating some transactions. And when we click the transaction button, we get into this view, which shows us some of the old transactions we've been doing. But we want to make a new one, so we click add one here. This is a very important view because this is what the user will see again and again working with the system. You have a choice of performing basically 4 different actions. You can move some skins from the auction house based on what purchases there and your customer number. You can create end products. That could be fur coats, but it could also be trim pieces. You can move your stock. Let's say that you sell some skins to a colleague in the business and you want to remove these skins from your stock and send them to your customer. So this is a possibility of moving some skins out of the system. And finally, there is the self-declaration, which is a second way of getting skins or garments into the system. It means that instead of having the automatical input from the auction houses based on customer number, this gives you an opportunity to upload some skins yourself. When you do this, you really have to supply also some documentation showing what kind of skins they are and where they come from. So ideally that would be an invoice from an auction house or an invoice from a skin dealer, as an example, with clear ID on the skins. But I think we will start by making a transaction from the auction house. So I want to move my skins from the auction house to the dressing company I'm working with because I want to start a production. So now I'm going to say, well, I have some skins at Copenhagen Fur. I'm going to move them on this date. I have a shipment number, which I put in a random number for this, but you could put in a shipment number here. And where do I want to send them? And of course, I choose my dresser. And here we have to remember that this is a certified dresser inside the Furmark system. And it's, of course, the dresser I put into my business relationships when it came to the company info. So it's one of my trusted suppliers I'm sending the skins to. I could put some extra information if I needed that to inform the dresser about what kind of skins are being sent. So now we have to look at the skins. So we are getting some skins from Copenhagen Fur. So here we can see the different lots I have available in the stock room at KF. And I will choose, let's see, I'll go to the bottom and I will choose this lot. And here we can see that I have chosen some minks, Palomino velvet males. They have a specific lot number, which is from the sale of the skins at the auction house. And that's a quantity, 358. Please notice here that the quantity cannot be changed, and that's because the auction house do not split the lots. So when you ship the skins, it has to be basically the box going out of the auction house, and all the skins have to go. They cannot be divided in any way. Of course, I can add several lots to this shipment. That's in theory endless. But I could add, different lots I've bought, or if I bought a string of skins, I could put all the lots here. But we are keeping this as a quite simple demo, so I'm just going to say, well, I'm moving this specific lot. So it seems I have I've filled in all the necessary details, and I will say save. The system will ask me, what do I want to do? Well, I want to submit this transaction for acknowledgement. And that means basically I want to ship the skins to the dresser, and I want the dresser to acknowledge that these skins are indeed being received at his end. What we call the handshake. So I say okay, and here we are. So I can go back to my view here, and I can actually see that this is actually the Look here, this is the transaction we just created. I'm sending some skins from the auction house, Copenhagen Fur. I'm sending them to the dresser, and we can see it's my Palomino velvet males, 358, and they are now being sent to the dressing company. The dresser will also receive an email. He will basically receive a notification inside the system, of course, but he will also receive an email saying there is something for you to approve inside the Furmark system. And this way we can be sure that he's on top of what is happening at his end, so we can have a speedy production. So this is basically the first step of creating a garment that is certified and traceable. And now we will remove our hat as a manufacturer and have a look at what goes on at the dressing company. We have now changed the user account. We have opened a demo account as a dresser, and of course that is a certified dresser that is working inside the Furmark system. We can see that the dresser has received a notification that there is a transaction that he has to acknowledge, and if the manufacturer has chosen to do so, he has also received a system-generated email notifying him that he has to go to the Furmark system to do some business. If we open this transaction, we can see that this is indeed the transaction we just created in our demo. It's the 358 skins, it's the minks from Copenhagen Fur. Everything looks great. So what the dresser has to do is that, of course, he has to review this transaction, and he can do a couple of different things. Of course, he can add a remark and leave the status unchanged. He can cancel the transaction, of course, if there is something wrong. In this case, we're just going to acknowledge the transaction. Everything is fine. He received the right skins, and he's going to make some dressing and perhaps some dyeing on those. So he says, okay. And off we go. And if we go back to his desktop view, we can see that now this notification is gone. We can go to the inventory of the dressing company and see now these skins have been added to the stock of the dressing company while he is working on these skins. We go back here. So now we imagine some time has passed. The skins are ready to be sent back to the manufacturer. So the dressing company has to create a second transaction. The dresser is now ready to ship the skins back to the manufacturer after the dressing and perhaps some dyeing. And basically the dresser has to create a new transaction sending the skins back. So we will go and make a new transaction. And first of all, we need to fill in if there's a shipment number that might be relevant. And of course, we have to remember who is receiving the skins. Well, we're sending them back to the manufacturer. So that's the basics. Then we go into a kind of input-output look. We will, first of all, we'll choose what we're sending. We are sending the Palomino mink skins from Copenhagen Fur, 358 pieces. This is already in the system. We can see that the number can actually be changed now, and this is in the case a number of skins has been damaged during the dressing. As an example, we would be able to adjust the number. Of course, we have full flexibility. We can send several lots in the same shipment when things are going back to the manufacturer. But in this case, we'll keep things simple, one lot to illustrate the process. Output-wise, it's of course the same skins at this point, but again, we could split into sublots. Let's imagine we made half the skins in one shade of color, and the other ones were maybe still in a natural color. So we could make two, maybe three lots out of the original lot. So it's full flexibility in terms of creating sublots.
But we'll keep, as I said, we're keeping it simple for this demo. So we are just going to return these skins. We save this transaction. We say, yes, we want to do this. And of course, exactly the same thing is happening in terms of the manufacturer, this time receiving a mail notification that the dresser has sent some skins that needs his attention. So this ends actually the task of the dresser in the Furmark system. And we will go back and have a look at the other account belonging to the manufacturer. So now we have returned to the view of the manufacturer. And we can see that there is a transaction that is waiting for my acknowledgement. I will go into that, and I can see it's the skins that has been sent to me by the dresser, and they are ready for approval. It's the 358 mink skins, which I originally sent out for dressing. So I will, of course, go in and I will acknowledge this transaction. And by doing so, I'm placing the skins in my own my inventory of skins in my company. Having accepted the transaction from the dresser, the manufacturer is now ready to create some Furmark garments that are certified and fully traceable. And the first step in this transaction is to go into this view where you see the transactions you have made in the past, but of course you want to add a new one. You arrive at this view, which we used earlier to send the skins to the dresser, but this time we're going to choose to create end products from own stock. We might already have a shipment number, and we know where to send the final garments. They will go to the fur retailer, which is a fictitious customer we have put into this demo. So having organized that information, we go into an input-output view where basically we have to choose the skins we are using for this production. So we are choosing our Palomino minks, 358 skins. And please notice that here we can add extra lots. We could have maybe a fox trim on this coat, so we could add some foxes. Maybe we're using additional minks. So it's fully flexible in terms of adding extra skins to the production. And of course we can remove those, and we're going to keep it simple. So we are just going to work with this one lot. So the output is really the batch we are working on now. So the batch could be called 2021/23. The product could be autumn winter 21/22, and the style could be called Julia, as an example. And of course here now we have to tell the system whether we are working on garments, accessory, or trims, because of course those are different labels and of course different product types. But we stay with the full fur garments, and we decided we would make 20 garments from these skins. Now we have to add the label range, remembering that the Furmark label carries a unique traceability number. So we need to put 20 label numbers into this production. And of course, those you cannot remember in your head. So you go to the label report. This is an extension of the label stock view, where you can ask the system to generate the label numbers that you need. So in this case, I have asked for a report telling me what do I have available in terms of garment labels. And I can see that the label sequence starts at A200-027. So that's my first label. So I can jump back to my production view, and I can say, well, my first label is A200-027. And the last label in this sequence I will use is the 46 one. So now I defined my coats, I defined the number of coats I'm making, and I defined the label range that will go into these coats. And next step is to save this transaction, and I save it like that.
So now these garments have been created, and of course when I produce them in my workshop, I of course have to be very careful that I put the correct 20 labels into these garments and thereby preserving the traceability. Having clicked back into the dashboard view, the manufacturer might want to check the last transaction where he created the 20 garments. This can be done by going into the transactions and looking at the transaction we just created. Here we have it. We can see that we did indeed create 20 garments with a label range from 27 to 46. These garments were created with the Palomino minks that we have used in this demo, and the quantity of pelts used for this transaction was indeed 358. So everything is in order. So a few final words on the Furmark system. First of all, I think it's important to recognize that it's a system with a great flexibility, which means that it can work for the furrier who is working with a small production, coat by coat, but it can also work for a manufacturer who are working with large batches of products. The system has the flexibility to work for everybody. It's also important to know that there is a full support function behind the system. Well, first of all, there is a rather extensive manual to the system. So if you run into any problems, you can always have some information at hand. And just to give you a glimpse of that, that can really tell you about all the different aspects of the system. But it's also nice to know that up here there is an email address, support@furmark.com, which is basically a 24/7 support function should you have any technical problems. So this concludes my demo of the Furmark system. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you on board Furmark in the future. Thank you very much.